but I don't know, that's a month or so ago, yeah. He's had cancer, he had cancer 30 years ago at least.
Yeah, I remember. Remember Pearl Bosman turned it off, and she went about a month. She was ready to go see the dentist.
It might be more than that. I think it was about the time we moved from Brandon to Illinois in 87.
And we moved here in '88. It seems like I remember because Scott's dad, Peterson's dad, died in '92 or something. It seemed like it was right around, because they were kind of buddies and stuff. But yeah, it might have been before my time too.
Where'd you move here from?
Lake Preston, well, Badger,
Oh,
that's where
okay.
we farmed at. But I grew up in Preston, Lori grew up in Badger.
What are Pam Miller's doing? We haven't seen her for quite a
Down
while.
in Arizona now, I think.
I imagine they are.
Yeah,
Can't
I
imagine
see
they
on
wouldn't be.
Facebook, but drive by her place every time we got up there, they got it made.
Yeah.
They're both so active and doing well. And,
She's a cancer survivor too.
yeah,
She's the very first employee that I ever hired as a manager.
Oh,
for
really?
Mm-hmm.
she was golden.
She
I
also
mean, I
turned-
remember working there
She
too.
she turned out to be one of the very best too.
Yeah, she's way better than an admin or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
Yeah, she was
She's
terrific.
running the place. I think it is. 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock? Okay. We'll get started. First, we'll call the meeting to order and then do a roll call.
Clark. Fish. Johnson. Jorgensen. Cole. Steen. Mayor Buck.
Here.
And Renee Olm.
Renee is here representing the school board. The rest of us are all representing the city council. And sort of the process. And I'm going to ask Christina to help me with this, but the process generally is to have each petitioner come up to the podium and give us your name and your address. And we ask you to keep your comments to roughly around 5 minutes. And then we'll go through all of the petitioners. And then when that's complete, if the council or anyone has any questions, we can come back and talk about questions, and then we'll move on the petitions. Christine, is there anything else to add to that?
Nope. I don't think so.
Okay, then we'll start off with parcel number 69382, the Spectre.
Good evening, I'm Patrick Sprecher.
There you go.
Perfect, even has a nice little note there. All right, can everybody hear me now?
Yep.
I'm Patrick Sprecher at 108 West Elm Street here in Brandon, South Dakota. I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to appeal our assessment value done by the county. A couple pieces of information I just want to go over is one of the reasons why I'm appealing is because I just don't feel like that value, nor have I found anything that think that that's valued at that price that it's assessed at. And so some of the houses that the assessor has shown me that he was stating why he was assessing it at that price all fall way under what the actual assessed value is. So he gave me 3 different properties that are somewhat close to my house or property, what it is, and the highest one on there with the closest square footage is at $381,000. Now my house was assessed at $439,000. And when I've looked at our area of assessment, so from Lakota to Parkview Drive there, I was going through on what all those values were priced at and close to what my square footage was or what I thought. I'm not in the real estate business or assessing business, but what I could think what they were, none of them came close to, or a lot of them were not over that $400,000 mark from what I found, but I kind of quit. I mean, there's a lot of houses out there, right? And it's so hard to assess right now, I understand, in like my neighborhood, because not a lot of houses are selling, or not a lot have sold, especially exactly like my house. So I understand the hardship of trying to get the exact house at that assessed value. And another thing I want to just point out is this winter I went through the value of what my house is worth to replace if it completely got damaged. And this is without the property expense on, or the land expense, I want to say, just the property of the house. And what the dwelling of our house for coverage on our insurance went up $70,000 this last year. I get it. The market out there is going up and everything. Price of material is going up and everything. But that came in at like $353,000 for just the material of the house, not the land. So then I thought to myself, well, the land is assessed by the county at $25,000. Well, I'll agree with that. So I just add the $25,000 to the $353,000 that my house is worth to replace, and that comes up with $375,000. I feel like that's a fair assessment. I know it's gone up a lot in the last few years, but we can all agree that, you know, that's just the way life is, I guess, and we pay for it. But so that's where my price of $375,000 comes in pretty fair. I guess that's pretty much all I really want to make for statements, and I would just really like you to consider that assessment that I've made with the different logic that I have out there to where it should be closer to that $375,000 instead of the $439,000.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. We'll move on, holiday stations.
Ally, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. My name is Beth Paul. I'm a tax rep for National Circle K and Holiday Station Stores. I do about 26,000 a year in all 50 states and a couple other countries. And today, I'm here before your board to appeal the location of 916 North Split Rock Boulevard in Brandon, currently on the roll for $1,679,000. Oh, no, that was last year. It's currently on the roll this year for $1,714,800. That's at an overall price per square feet of $175. I've been speaking with Darren in County, and when he and I both agreed that the county's valuation is based on the cost approach, and that's the approach I'm giving to the board today. I hope that you all have a copy of it. I sent it in the appeal. Because the income and sales equation doesn't limit too heavily on the business revenue for the convenience gas station. So this is a building, it's a commercial building that was built in the year 2000. The building itself is about 9,800 square feet with a 4,400 square foot canopy. It does have a car wash also built in the year 2000 of 1,775 square feet. It sits on a 40,000 square foot lot, which is almost an acre. And it has asphalt paving of about 40,000 square feet. So the land value of this portion of this assessment is $354,800, and the building itself is $1,360,000 to total that current assessment of $1,714,800. And what I do all around the country is I take all the information from the county's website, all of the characteristics for the convenience gas stations who fund the National Circle K rate, and I put it into my Marshall and Swift cost approach calculator. It's an analysis done nationwide. Marshall Swift is the gold standard for cost approach. And I can go through the analysis with you to have it in front of you. However, the bottom line is that the total improvement and land market value, according to Marshall Swift, is $1,270,710. That's at about 100%. And the county currently has actual for $175 per foot. And I also wanted you to know that I haven't always been a tax rep. I've been a chief appraiser around the country 4 different times. I've worked in 16 states, and I'm currently licensed in the United States. So I get it. I've sat on your boards, I've been in assessors for many governmental units, and I understand how difficult your job is, but I just wanted to prepare you for the paperwork that's in front of you, and calculator cost, which I hope that you have. And I know that the county has also provided you with the property record card, but it doesn't have any breakdown of the values on it like my company does. And I know that Darren also provided you with an analysis of kind of of roll value of what other gas stations are on this tax roll gas. We also give you a market value comparison. Also,
I'm not hearing much of you.
that's provided by, I don't argue that. All we're really arguing about what's your life,
You have your phone on speaker, you're breaking up quite a bit.
and it could depreciate more rapidly than what the company has depreciated it for. He told me they haven't updated their, in their camera system, they haven't updated their, cost analysis and their depreciation schedules in a while, so I thought that I should bring that to your attention. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, next, we have Michael and Susan Dykes.
Okay, thank you. Michael and Susan Dykes, we're at 2300 East Pebble Beach Lane in Brandon. I'm asking for $542 for a fair assessed value, $495 for the structure, and $47,000 for the land. The county has us at $593, $546 for the structure. A year ago, I did do a professionally appraised. I was here last year. $480 was the professionally appraised market value of our house. And our neighborhood went up 13%. So I'm doing the 480 times 13% to come up with the 542 versus the county raising me up 23.6%. So again, Department of Revenue saying I can't be assessed over actual market value, which I am, and it's got to be fair and comparable. And on the structure, we are not on a comparable assessment. So my house is 3,500 square foot, 0.2 acres of land, 3-stall garage, no view, deep windows, and no updates in our house with cabinets and cupboards and anything like that. And I got to replace a driveway if I can ever find concrete. So my comparable the county's given me is this across the street down a little ways. So for $585,000, but they're not being assessed at that. So they're comparing me against a 585, but they're only assessing that house at 574. It's putting me at $18,000 higher assessed than the house that sold across the street. And the county's justifying that with that purchase value, even though they're not valuing their house at the full price. That house I'm being compared against is 3556, so I'm within 20 square foot of assessed of living space. 18 feet on the upper level and 10 feet on the lower level. So very comparable living space area. That house is also, their structure assessed is 483 versus my county assessed at 546. So I am $62,000 higher assessed on my structure than the comparable. That house I'm being compared against is on the golf course. It's 0.7 acres on 0.2. They have a 4-stall garage, and they have the location. They have that beautiful view, and they spent $20,000 updating the cupboards and cabinets and stuff before they sold that house at 585. So if you take all that off and just look at living space to living space. So I'm at 593. Minus 47 for my land, and they assessed my garage at 26. Puts me at $520,000 for my living space. The Pebble Beach at 574. Their land is at 91. Their 4-stall garage is at 40. Puts them at 443 for their living space. So same square footage, living space to living space. I am $76,000 higher assessed on my property, let alone I don't have all the other selling points that that house would have. So working this backwards, at, taking their living space at 443, at my garage and my land, puts me with at 516 versus my 593. I'm only asking for 542 because I set up from the beginning for years that put me at a fair market value, and I'll accept the neighborhood increases. My neighborhood increase is 13%. My appraised value last year was 480. That's where I'm coming up on my 542. So the chart below is some other properties I'm being compared against. And this year, last year, in my living space structure, I'm at $154 a square foot. All these houses in my neighborhood have been assessed or compared to in the past, averaging 135. Again, working the number backwards, that would put me with my land value at 524. So I'm still under my ask of 542,400. So I understand that there's got to be a formula. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of homes they have to assess, and they have some kind of cookie cutter method, but there's going to be homes that are exceptions to that cookie cutter method. My home is a larger home on a small lot. They're not taking into account the land size, comparing me on 0.2 acres versus 0.7 acres. It's going to throw me off. Because they would take what the county told me, so a gut check, that house sold at 585 divided by 3,500 square foot, it's $164 a square foot. Assessing me at 591 at 3,500 square foot put me $167. So they're saying I'm comparable, but they didn't take the difference in the land value, the garage differences. And so overall, I think my house violates state law by being over-assessed market value and by not fairly being assessed against comparable properties. So I do ask that you grant me my appeal.
So, Michael, did,
We'll wait and do questions at the end. Thank you. Yeah, just save your questions, Barb. That's what we said at the beginning. We were going to wait until the end and then question for anybody that we have questions for. Jamie.
My name is Jim Redland, 708 South Lewis Drive.
Oh, Jimmy.
I'm not going to confuse you with a lot of numbers. You know, I can't agree or disagree with their assessment. I think it's a little high, but that's the way the market is. When I talked to the county assessor, he explained how they come up with the value. And he pointed out a few homes that have sold in the past couple, 3 years, I guess, and it is comparable. However, one thing they don't take in consideration is I have a neighbor right next door that devalues the entire neighborhood, and that's not taken into account. I don't think this is the forum to go into particulars with my neighbor, but I have a neighbor that devalues the property, and that's my main concern. If there's some other forum that I would need to go over with this, I'd be glad to do it. That's all I have.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. Ty?
Did everybody get copies of the attachments I included, or do we need copies?
Yeah, we've got
All
it.
right. Ty Dahl, 909 South Fifth Avenue. Colin, Harry, I'll pick on you for a minute. It's been quite a trip in the real estate market since COVID, huh? If I had a house that was 1,500 square feet, I might have sold it. Those things appreciated. I looked up the stats. Houses like that appreciated between 40 and 60%. Some even got closer to 80. Not all properties experience the same real estate market. Mine is not 12 or 1,500. 1,500. We've got a little over 2,000 on the main. 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 2,000 on the ma And I listened to Chris's testimony in front of a lot of you folks. And he said Brandon needed to be smoothed out. We had a lot of adversely impacted properties because they're older, they're in the core of town. Well, I went through and compared my neighborhood, my new neighborhood, according to the Director of Equalization. Well, those houses that experienced the run-ups, the Swanson's Addition, the Traubs, Sylvan Circle, they're in my neighborhood. So those folks that saw that appreciation and saw that run-up, well, guess what? We took that positive skew in the market and we laid it over everybody. They laid it over the Bluffs, they laid it over Stone Ridge, and quite frankly, I'm surprised there's so few people here, because those houses didn't get the market run up that the rest of those properties did. Let's just look at the comps I did pull. I went out and found some houses that are of similar size to mine on MLS that would have sold within 18 months, so would have been a good target for the director to look at as far as comparable properties. These houses are in Arbor's Edge, Mystic Meadows, Copper Creek. So, fair assessment if you're looking for houses that are of equal or at least on par. So basically I went through and sale price, if you look at it just strictly based on market value per finished square foot, the average sale per square foot comes in at 223 bucks a square foot. And if I lay that into my house as far as a market value, we come in at $829, $850. A little bit lower than the $896 I was assessed at. But then I took it another step further. I went out and pulled the 2023 assessments on these properties. These are Brandon Valley School District, with the exception of Copper Creek. So we should be hitting somewhere in the same mill levy with the exception of the city portion. So assessed value per square foot, Moss Stone, $189. Scarlet Oak, $216. Let's see, we got Sugar Maple back in late 21, sold for $1.2 million, $188 a square foot. My assessment's $241 a square foot. So the equity there and the fairness just, it doesn't show up. So I understand that Brandon needed some work on its assessment formula, but we've ended up with some adverse selection on a lot of our properties, and it's not uniform, at least across the county or within the school district or even within the city of Brandon. So I don't know that $721,499 is the correct assessed value. But if you look at comparable houses that have sold within the last 18 months when the county would have valued my house, that's where they're at. So, anybody have any questions? But I hear he told us that we're taking those at the end, so.
Okay, thanks,
Thanks.
Ty. Appreciate it. TJ and Laura?
Laura.
Okay.
Laura Wright, 2217 Byram Circle. Yeah, I just think my assessment is way too high. I'm like the Chevy in the Cadillac neighborhood kind of thing. I do not have a finished basement. I got just over 2,000 square feet on the main level. That's it. Like with my assessment, like when it's talking about like square footage and everything, mine comes out to almost, what is it, $230 per square feet. When all the other ones that that Ryan Equalization guy gave me, they all average out to like between 125, 117, 136 per square footage. So I just don't see how you can come up with a number so high when I only have just over 2,000 square feet on the main level. And I invite y'all to come see my basement if you want. It's unfinished and full of stuff. But, yeah, I just, like, Ryan gave me the comparables on Country Club, Pebble Beach, and those values are based on, like, square footage of 3,140, 3,556. I don't have that. So pretty much all I think is that it's way too high. Some of the others he gave me, they're all compared to like 145 per square foot. So I just don't know how they figure that. So I'd like it reduced if I could. So can't blame the girl for trying, right?
Okay,
Thanks for your time.
thank you. Okay, now we take time for some questions. If anybody has
Yeah,
questions?
this is now kind of the board's time to go over it. If they have questions, they'll address you, but otherwise, please let the board do their work. On page 6-4 of the packet is kind of the process and the timeline, so we're in the local board right now. If the decision of the local board you do not care for or like, then you can always go to the county board. So this is the first step in the appeal process. And then I'll notify you in the mail too, but I think all of you are present and may stay present, but, any other questions?
Christina, how soon does the county review? So if they take it to the next step, what's the time frame expectation with that?
The timeframe is laid out where they have to appeal by April 4th, so just like they had a deadline with me, they have to file by April 4th with the county, and then they start beginning their appeals mid-April, and theirs just depends on how many appeals they get in, but I think they do it by school districts. I'm not really sure in the county, but they start on April 11th, and then they go for like 3 weeks. But the deadline to appeal is April 4th at the county.
Okay, questions for anybody?
Yes, I had a question for Michael. So, Michael, last year when you presented the appraisal, did we make an adjustment? I don't remember, I'm sorry.
Yes, you did. You granted my 480, which matched the appraisal value.
Okay. So, it doesn't have to be this way, but typically we've followed an appraisal or a bill of sale within the last year. That's been the information that we've looked at as proof. It's very difficult, in my opinion, for us to look at comps. I'm not an appraiser like a Colin, and so for me to say, well, I think this is too high, or this is what this one sold for, unless I have an appraisal or a bill of sale for within a year, I find it difficult to make an adjustment. That's just me personally.
Okay, anybody else have questions, or?
Not so much questions, obviously, with my background in my appraisal industry. Each one of these I kind of went through, and I actually searched, if I was doing the appraisal on this house, which comps I would look at. And I truly do have some issues with a handful of these that I really don't think some of these homeowners, they would actually get market value, what the county is assessing them currently. Now, I preface by saying I've never been in these homes at the same time too, but across the board, there are a few of them that I do have issues with, and I don't know if we want to go, Harry, if you want to
Sure.
go one by one here.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll go one by one, and you guys can make motions.
We'll start with the first one.
My first one, I'll start with the 108 West Elm, assessing it at 439.4. Boy, I found comps that I would use right here in Brandon in the last. There's the comp that they had for 381,000. To me, that would be the low end. So I don't feel like the 375. I feel like that's a little low. I feel the low end on 108 Elm is 381,000. I found a pretty good comp at 301 West Ironwood Drive. Similar specs, 5-bed, 3-bath, 3-car garage. built in 2003, so just a little newer than the subject. That one sold for $410,000. So for me, I feel like it's in between that 381 and 410 range. I also found one at 1417 West Creekside Circle. That has like a greenway view, and it was built in 2007. That one only sold for $426,000, and again, the county's assessing them at $439,400. So in my opinion, 108 West Elm is well oversessed, in my professional opinion.
Do we want to make a motion one at a time?
Yes, and I understand what Colin is saying, and as an appraiser, it's just hard for the local board to do anything when there's no proof and we have a recommendation from the county. I think a lot of these are really where the homeowner needs to go to the county and fight with the county. You know, we do have our county equalization, you know, they do their work. Chris was here and kind of, you know, and how they go through the process, and it's not an easy process. They go through a lot of details. So I would just caution you on that. So the motions would either be a no change, or we don't change land value, we only change building value. And you have to have a reason if you're going to change it.
So the change would need to be only land, we don't include, or excuse me, only structure, not the land?
Right, the land would stay what it says.
Sure.
We would keep the land the way it is, and then the building is the one that we would change.
Gotcha. So obviously, all my numbers include land value. So for instance, in my opinion, I think this home, 108 West Elm, should be in that 390 range. However, that includes the land.
And Colin, I respect your information tremendously, so don't get me wrong, but I'm going to make a motion that we leave this as is, sorry for the folks that don't agree with me, and we refer it back to the county. I just can't, I can't sit up here and change all of these based on, without something other, you know what I'm saying, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So question is, if we vote to change one, it doesn't change, the county still has to approve it and, correct? Or, I mean, do we vote to change and then the county has to approve it, or how's that work?
Well, the county can appeal our decisions. I haven't seen them do that so far, but if they think we're out of the realm, they may. You know, local board's decisions only stay in place for 1 year. That's why also it's hard for me to recommend making changes, because, for instance, when you get to Dykes's, yeah, we made that change last year, but all of a sudden now that local board comes off and he has a big jump. And he has that big jump because we took an appraisal value that, you know, when Chris is here, you want to make, and you're an appraiser, but you don't necessarily want to do an appraiser just for an equalization board. And that's what it was. And so it's getting to be really hard to even sometimes take appraisals when they're just for this instance. That's what we have a county equalization for. Unfortunately, this is the process, and this is the state process, and they have to go through us first.
Right, I guess I'm loaded with knowledge in this line, so, you know, for me, I'm gonna have a lot of, to come back on, and I understand and respect what the county's doing, but I look at these homeowners like, if he's gonna put his house on the market at 108 West Elm Street, I'd have a hard time saying I could appraise that thing for $439,400. Just so, again, obviously I sit up here with a lot of data and a lot of information. So again, for me, I don't agree with this assessment, but I'm just one vote.
Okay, we have a motion, I don't have a second. Okay, for lack of a second, you want a second? Got a motion and a second?
Then I have a question.
Yeah, further discussion?
Yes. So Colin, if you were going to appraise a house and somebody was going to sell a house, they would require more than one appraisal, correct?
No,
If they were going to borrow money on a house, would they require more than one appraiser?
no.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
So I know we currently have an appraisal on our board, and I don't want to discredit that at all, Colin. The hard part is, and what Barb said, is we've kind of set where we only take, recent purchases or recent appraisals, and we've done that for a reason, because I don't want to we're not always going to have an appraisal on our board. So I don't want to set the precedent that now we have an appraiser on our board, and then he can make his, professional appraisals kind of, and do that. The problem is when he's off the board, then it just becomes harder down the road. Yeah.
Any
I'm
other,
here for the next 3 years, so at least.
Yeah.
any other discussion? We have a motion,
You're in Texas?
not at this time.
You're next.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to not make a change.
And let me clarify, what number do we need to pass a motion?
So all of you are aboard, even the mayor. So we have 8 right now. 8, yeah, we have 8.
So we have to have 5?
We have to have 5.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to not make a change. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose?
Let's do a roll call.
Clark? Fish? Johnson?
Aye.
Jorgensen?
Aye.
Cole?
Nay.
Cole was nay? Nay. Okay. Steen?
Nay.
Buck?
Nay.
And Renee? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 to 4.
Without a majority, the motion fails. So, I'll listen for another motion.
Can I'd make a motion for a new valuation of assessed value of $390,000. Now, again, that includes the land, so I don't know how we want to say this. Subtract out the $25,000, $365,000, yeah.
Well, we keep the land.
No, you got to keep it all in there.
You keep the land at the
390
county
total.
value.
390.
$390 total, but you keep the land at the county value. 25,100. 25,100.
Motion and a second to adjust the value to, give me the number again? 390.
That'd be the total.
Total. Any other discussion?
Yes. So I think we're playing with fire, folks, because, again, I'm not, no offense, Colin, but if I were an appraiser and I went in and came in with some different comparables, I might come in with 385. I don't know that we can just kind of throw our formula out. Tim has sat on this board before. Dave has sat on this. Dan and I have sat on this. I just say be careful what we're doing here.
Any other discussion?
I would just say, let's take advantage of me right now. These are our citizens. This is, I truly don't think I would appraise this gentleman's house for $439,400 with the comparable sales that we have right now. And for us to sit here and say, yeah, we should just, because it's done this way in the past, to me, that's wrong. That's wrong to me. And again, I know I'm coming with a barrel full of ammunition that you guys don't also have, but I'm also on this board for a reason, so I would.
Any other discussion?
And just to clarify for the public, when somebody comes to a board, like you said, Christina, this is for a year. And how many times can a person come with the same property? Can they come every single year? Is there a limit? Is there, okay. I just wanted to make that comment.
Right.
And we have that.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Any other discussion? Okay, the motion then is to recommend to the county a valuation of $390,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Aye.
Let's do a roll call.
Clark?
Aye.
Fish? You're a nay. Yeah, you're a nay. Johnson?
Nay.
Jorgensen? Cole?
Aye.
Steen?
Aye.
Mayor Buck?
Aye.
And Renee?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We move on to the Holiday Stations Stores LLC. Any questions?
I'm not a commercial appraiser, so this is out of my range here.
Does anybody have any questions?
Make a comment here on Holiday Station?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that I've been an assessor a lot of places over the last 4 years, and there's been a lot of boards that I've attended. And the county appraises in a mass appraisal system, so they don't really take into consideration the individual appeals. And that's what the local board's for, is for individual appeals of property owners, because you're local and you know the property better as taxpayers, and you have the opportunity to listen to the issues and concerns of the individual taxpayer, and this would be an appropriate forum to make those changes for the people who live in Brandon, not just all of this. So I just wanted to say that, and I wanted to thank you for all of your due diligence today, because I hear you struggling with trying to make the differences, and I would certainly take advantage of the fact that I had a free board. Thank you.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to hold it as is.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to leave the assessment as is. Any further discussion?
I think this one's tough since we don't have any type of expert to fall on and therefore have to defer to the county.
And I agree with you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dikes. Any questions?
You know, again, here I am, going to go back to this one. I believe this is too high of an assessment. Assessed at $593,100. I'd have a tough time appraising this for that amount. We have a recent sale at 1705 South Parkview Drive that backs right up to the Big Sioux wreck. Basically the exact same specs as our subject, but backs up to the Big Sioux wreck. And that one sold for $587,000, so already under the assessed value. And this one on Pebble is not on the golf course, it's across the street, right? Yeah. I found another comp at 1505 East Birch Street that sold for $500,000, basically $499,999. A ranch home built in 2002, similar specs, 5-bed, 4 baths, compared to the 2300 subject only has 3.5 baths, but similar specs. So, in my opinion, his $542,400 is pretty fair. I'd make a motion for 542,400.
I have a motion and a second to adjust to 542,400. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose?
Aye.
We'll do a roll call?
Clark? Aye. Fish? Aye. Johnson?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mary Buck?
Aye.
And Renee? Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Jim, any questions for Mr. Redlin on 708 South Lewis?
I'd love to be able to help you out on this one, but you're getting assessed, I think, pretty well. I know you got the neighbor right there. It's so hard to sometimes appraise for that, we call it external obsolescence. You've got a recent sale that, 417 South Fifth Avenue that just sold for $280,000, and it's about 15 years older than your property. I just think they assessed you pretty well, in my opinion. At the 279.4, in my opinion, is pretty fair.
You take in consideration the neighborhood?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so, but like anything, I have to be able to prove in the market that someone's going to pay X amount of dollars less for that property just because of your neighbor. And sometimes I can prove that, but a lot of times I can't. Because I just have it's hard to find that data to say, hey, someone's going to pay that amount of money less just because of that neighbor. Now, it'd be different, obviously, if you're across the street from like a dump yard or something like. So again, in my opinion, this one is fair.
I'd like to see him
Aye.
the assessed value with that neighbor there. Prove to me it's worth $297,000 for 79.
I would say that if he's out of city compliance against city ordinance, you should probably reach out to Paul Clark and have him come over as our compliance officer and look at his property.
And that is the correct forum, and there was some early last year. The last time was in April of last year, and then since then, we haven't had any additional complaints come into the office. So I did check on that before tonight's meeting. You're right, this is not the correct forum. If you have issues like that, then reach out to the city.
I have contacted Paul several times, and the code isn't enforced. So what do I do?
Again, this is not the correct forum. Please call the city tomorrow.
You can always reach out to your city councilor if you feel like you're needing extra help.
But 34% increase is, especially with a neighbor like that, I looked at the other homes, I looked at their property, nice clean property, nice neighborhood. You come to mine, it's totally different. It's just like you say, it's just like a junkyard right next door to me. And that's gonna affect the value of the property. It's got to.
Yeah, it definitely, there would maybe be something in there. The problem is right now for your city, and good problem, is that the value of your home has gone up a lot lately in that area. And I know you'd like it to be less on your assessed value, but I'm telling you, values in that neighborhood have done really, really well in the last 18 months. So I'd make a motion to keep this as is.
A motion, a second to make no change. Any further discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Next is Ty and Aaron Dahl on 909 South Fifth Avenue. questions or comments?
Yeah, again, on this one, I think it's a little high. You know, they're assessing the dolls at 896.2. You know, we have a recent sale at 1905 West Tyler Circle for $860,400. However, this sale included 2 additional lots in their backyard. If you're familiar with that area, they've got like a basketball court in their backyard on a separate lot, and then they owned another piece of lot. So anyways, had a little more square footage than the dolls, and sold for this $860,400. Now, they didn't have a pool like the dolls do. Again, it's so tough to appraise pools in the Midwest because some people love them, some people hate them.
What's the condition of that pool right now? With the cover caved in from the ice and snow? And let's see, if you gave me value of mine, is that with the train in the backyard or without?
Yeah, we got a nice trains in our backyard, that's for sure. You know, it's tough in Brandon. We don't have a lot of great sales right now, but there was another one at 1916 West Tyler Circle. Now this one was significantly less, $712,000. And in my opinion, obviously that's the low end for the doll's house, with the high end being this 864. I did pull, like Ty was doing, just some in the Brandon School District. Instantly, when I'm doing appraisal in Brandon, if I don't find the comps that with similar quality and condition, square footage right in Brandon, I'll go instantly to the Brandon School District, which you'll find in northeast Sioux Falls. And I found a good one at 108 North Autumnwood Court, just sold for $799.9 back in June. It is newer. It's built in 2017. So it is newer, but similar overall square footage. So again, in my opinion, this is high, and I would make a motion for 909 South 5th at $800,000.
For the, less the land, I mean, total, including the land.
We have a motion and a second for $800,000 on 909 South 5th. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Roll call.
Clark? Aye. Fish? Nay. Johnson?
Nay.
Jorgensen?
Nay.
Cole?
Aye.
Steen?
Aye.
Mayor Buck?
Aye.
Renee? Colin? You get aye, right? 5. Pass.
Motion carries. Okay, we have Byram Circle. Laura, any questions, thoughts?
Laura, I would, in my opinion, it's pretty fair. Yeah, there's a recent sale at 2716 East Palmer Street for almost $475,000. However, it has no basement, but it was only 1,565 square feet total in the entire house compared to your 2,041. This was a tough one just because you have no basement finish. But you've got similar, you got basement finish one selling for like $712,000. Similar, they got this 1916 West Tyler Circle has 1966 on the main with a finished basement and sold for $712,000. So it just, when you get that amount of square footage, these ones are selling really well because people are seeing the opportunity to finish the basement and add instant equity to their home. She has, at 2217, the above grade square footage is 2,041, is that correct?
I don't know, I hear different numbers all the time on what it is, so that's probably close.
So I'd make a motion to stay at the assessed value of 531.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to, excuse me?
I
Motion and a
just
second.
wanted to say, Colin, I certainly appreciate all of your knowledge. I certainly do. The only reason I voted no on all these is I've also received bids for lots of things in my life, whether it be electrical, plumbing, right? You go get 8 plumbers and you're gonna get 8 different bids, right? And they're all experts. Every single one of them knows what they're doing. And they'll give you 8 different prices. So we do have a process in place with the county, and they're the ones who came up with these assessed numbers. We could probably bring 10 more assessors in here and get different numbers for all of them. So I do appreciate your knowledge, but I've been voting against some of the ones that I have simply because we do have a process in place for the county to assess these and hear these appeals. So that's all I wanted to say.
Any other,
Real quick, and I appreciate that, Tim. My only thing is that, gosh, my civic duty of being on this council is to protect our citizens. And man, oh man, in my opinion, if I feel like they're being assessed over market value, nobody should be assessed over their market value of their home. And in my opinion, yes, my opinion may be different than another appraiser, and I'm not the holy grail of appraisers in Minnehaha County by any stretch. But I do have a wealth of knowledge because I've been doing this for 14 years. And I feel like I'd only be doing injustice if I didn't use this to maybe help some of our citizens.
any other discussion? We have a motion and a second to leave this one at 5:31. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. With that, we are about complete. Anything?
Yep, I think there's a few here. I'll just note that, you're done with the local board. It doesn't mean that the county board won't appeal, so there is that option out there. I don't know what the director of equalization will do. If they don't like what the local board did, he can appeal what the local board did. So for those that we did change, just keep that in mind. Other than that, I do not have anything, and take a motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank all of you for your participation.